At 0214 local time, over Tehran airspace, an Iranian Yak-130 light attack jet was running a standard patrol circuit at 15,000 feet. Speed, 850 kilometers per hour. The pilot had been airborne 40 minutes. Radar clean, no contacts, routine. He never saw what was already behind him. An Israeli F-35I Adir, radar cross-section the size of a golf ball, had been tracking the Yak for 11 minutes from 8 nautical miles. Passive sensors only. No radar emission, no detectable signature. The F-35's ASA radar was off. It didn't need to be on. The weapons bay opened. 2 seconds of exposure. The Python 5 missile dropped, ignited, and accelerated. The Yak-130 pilot had approximately 4 seconds of warning. He didn't get all 4. That engagement, lasting less than 90 seconds from weapons lock to intercept, became the first recorded air-to-air kill by an F-35 in the history of combat aviation. And it almost didn't happen the way anyone planned. Rewind to February 28th. Operation Epic Fury wasn't a strike. It was a campaign. One doctrine: don't fight their jets, destroy them before they fly. Phase 1 hit Iranian airbases. No dogfights. Aircraft neutralized on the ground in shelters before a single pilot reached a cockpit. Phase 1 executed clean. Phase 2 was supposed to be simpler. It wasn't. At 3:12 hours, March 2nd, Shiraz Airport, 2 Iranian Su-22 strike aircraft, Cold War-era platforms still forming a core part of Iran's ground attack capability, were destroyed on the runway apron. Standoff munitions launched from outside Iranian radar coverage. The jets never moved, the pilots never scrambled. March 2nd. Later that same day, near Al Udeid Air Base, Qatar, 2 Iranian Su-24 Fencer bombers, top-speed Mach 1.6, each capable of carrying 8,000 kilograms of ordnance, were detected on a trajectory that brought them within intercept range of Qatari airspace. A flight of Qatari F-15E Eagle IIs was already airborne. The F-15EX isn't stealth. It doesn't need to be. Top speed, Mach 2.5. And it carries the AIM-120 AMRAAM, an active radar-guided air-to-air missile with an engagement range exceeding 160 kilometers. The AMRAAM doesn't need the launching jet's radar after release. It has its own seeker. It guides itself to terminal intercept. The Su-24 crews never achieved radar lock, never reached a firing position, never closed the distance. 2 missiles, 2 tracks, 2 intercepts. Both Su-24S were removed from the engagement before they reached Qatari airspace. The intercept lasted under 6 minutes from scramble to kill. Iran had a structural problem that couldn't be resolved with additional aircraft. They didn't know yet how much deeper that problem went. Back to March 4th, Tehran airspace. The Yak-130 that the Israeli F-35I engaged was not a frontline combat aircraft by coalition standards. Light attack, advanced trainer platform, top speed approximately 1,060 kilometers per hour, designed for close air support and pilot instruction. Iran had deployed it in a combat patrol role, fill the airspace, show presence, complicate the picture. What the Iranian Air Force had not fully modeled: presence doesn't register when you cannot detect what is already tracking you. The F-35I Adir is Israel's domestically modified variant of the F-35A. Unit cost, approximately $80 to $100 million. Radar cross-section, classified but assessed below 0.001 square meters. For reference, a conventional fighter aircraft produces a radar return of several square meters. The F-35I returns a signature comparable to a large metal marble. Iranian ground radar stations cannot reliably distinguish that signature from background noise. The F-35I tracked the Yak-130 for 11 minutes without a single emission. No radar ping, no active sensor sweep. Nothing that Iranian air defense monitoring could detect and classify as a threat. Passive infrared tracking. Data fusion from external assets. The geometry was being built in complete electromagnetic silence. When the firing solution reached confidence threshold, the weapons bay opened. 2 seconds. The radar cross-section spiked, marble to barn door, and collapsed back to marble. The Python 5 was already clear of the bay. The Yak-130's last confirmed track position, 23 kilometers northwest of its patrol circuit. The track symbol in Tehran's Air Operations Center simply stopped updating. No distress call recorded. No evasive maneuver tracked in the data. No indication the crew processed what was happening before the intercept completed. That is what the first F-35 air-to-air kill in history looked like. Not a turning engagement, not a visual merge at close range, an invisible platform, an 11-minute silent track, a 2-second exposure window, and a contact that never understood the geometry had already been solved against it. Iran's air defense planners now had a documented operational reality, not a theoretical risk assessment, in their own airspace against one of their own aircraft. That changed every calculation that followed. April 3, 2026, Iran had spent the previous month watching its air assets systematically reduced. Ground strikes, beyond visual range intercepts, stealth engagements, every engagement through March had produced the same directional result. The ledger moved one way only. April 3rd changed that. A US F-15E Strike Eagle, 2-seat dual-role strike platform, unit cost approximately $90 million, was operating in an attack profile over western Iran. The F-15E is not a stealth platform. It is one of the most capable non-stealth strike aircraft in any air force on Earth. But non-stealth becomes operationally significant when Iran's surviving air defense operators have had weeks to study coalition flight patterns, ingress routes, and altitude behaviors. An Iranian SAM battery achieved radar lock on the F-15E. The engagement window was seconds. The crew ejected. The aircraft went down inside Iranian airspace. Neither crew member was recovered to coalition-controlled territory immediately. For the first time in the campaign, the exchange ledger moved in a different direction. 1 airframe, 2 personnel. Deep inside hostile territory, 400 kilometers from the nearest coalition-controlled airspace. That single loss changed the operational calculus. Not because one aircraft mattered to a force of thousands, but because it proved something Iran's commanders had needed proven. Non-stealth assets were trackable, targetable, vulnerable to a prepared defense operating with pattern knowledge. April 12, 2026. Pre-dawn, Iran didn't launch a strike. Iran launched a volume problem. Hundreds of Shahed loitering munitions, unit cost assessed at approximately $20,000 each, were launched simultaneously from multiple positions across multiple vectors. Combined with ballistic missiles and cruise missile platforms, the objective wasn't to defeat coalition air defenses individually. It was to exhaust them simultaneously. The Shahed flies at 180 to 200 kilometers per hour, propeller-driven, low altitude, small radar cross-section, not from stealth technology, but from physical size. Individually, each one is a manageable intercept. Hundreds simultaneously from multiple vectors against a finite missile magazine is a different architecture entirely. That was the design. Drain the magazine. Then the undefended gap opens. US, Israeli, and Qatari F-35s and F-15EXs were vectored to intercept across multiple threat axes. Here is what Iran's planners had not accurately modeled. A Shahed flying at 185 kilometers per hour is not a pure threat engagement scenario. It does not maneuver defensively. It carries no countermeasures. It does not detect the missile or aircraft tracking it. Against a coalition pilot with a full missile load, off-bore sight targeting, and altitude advantage, a Shahed is a slow, thermally visible, non-maneuvering target in a predictable flight path. The pilots weren't running intercepts. They were running a target sequence. Multiple aircraft, multiple missiles per aircraft, cleared hot, target-rich environment. The drone swarm that Iran designed to overwhelm a static point defense was instead being engaged by fast-moving airborne platforms that could reposition, reacquire, and re-engage across the entire threat corridor. Iran built a quantity strategy against a precision-managed force. The quantity strategy did not close the capability gap. It measured it. If, look here, the destruction tells the real story. 1 F-15E Strike Eagle, shot down. $90 million gone in a single hit. 2 Su-24 bombers, hunted and destroyed mid-air. $30 million each, burning in seconds. 1 Yak-130, erased from the sky. $15 million vanished instantly. 2 Su-22s, wiped out on the ground. $10 million each, never even took off. And then the swarm. Hundreds of Shahed drones, $20,000 to $50,000 each, all turned into fireballs. Multiple missiles intercepted. $1 million plus each destroyed before impact. If you don't know how Ukraine hit Russia's 5 air bases without stepping foot there in a single night, watch this video to find out how they did it.